Today I'm here to talk about seeds of the garden variety. So every year I plant a garden and I try to kind of go by the guidelines in the Old Farmer's Almanac. Is it the Old Farmer's Almanac? Or am I confusing that with this old house? Maybe it's just regular farmers. Well, regardless, I will link in the description box the planting guide. You put in your zip code and then they give you guides. It is based on historical data, so it will vary from year to year. Like this year, it was still snowing in April here, and that never happens. So all the dates are pushed back a little bit, which is good for me because I'm behind schedule on this project. So I have some seeds that I won't be planting today because these I just sow directly outdoors when it's time to plant the garden. But then I have seeds that are supposed to be done about 4 weeks out, seeds that are supposed to be done about 6 weeks, and seeds that are supposed to be done about 8 weeks out. I've actually never planted seeds before. I usually buy the seedlings from the nursery or hardware store or wherever. That somebody else had planted the seeds, and then I just plant the seedlings straight into my garden. However, seeds are far more cost effective than seedlings, and I would rather spend my money on hair extensions, which you saw in one of my videos, or clothes, which I'm about to do a video on a spring haul, so you might want to subscribe to the channel if you have any interest in that. But I don't want to spend money on my garden. I want the fresh, healthy produce, but I just don't want to spend the money on it. So I'm going to do this project of starting seeds. Like I said, my helper isn't very helpful. I'm going to do this project of how I'm going to start my seeds. So I have this crate, which is actually a milk delivery crate. It came with a whole bunch of these little bottles in it. My daddy found this for me at an auction. And so I live on 5 acres out in the country. I have very rustic decor, so this fits with my house very well. It may not be to your taste. You can use whatever container you want. I chose this particular container because A, it fits my decor, and B, the bottom is empty in this crate. Whoop, there goes some of my seeds. And so therefore drainage won't be an issue. I will be able to pick this up and carry it outside as it gets closer to wanting to transplant, so that way I can acclimate the seedlings that way. I can take it to a sink or a bathtub to do the watering, let it drain, and then take it back to wherever I want to store it. So I like this container. You could use just a Rubbermaid tote that you make holes for drainage, or a crate like I have down here, which has actually all the excess bottles that were in this crate. So whatever works for you. There's no particular right or wrong way to do this, but this is what works for me. So then I ordered these little biodegradable planting bags off of Amazon. I will also link that in the description below. They came in 2 sizes, the smaller size and the larger size. There was like 200 of them in the package. So far more than I need for this project this year. It's probably enough to last me the rest of my life and then some. But they were very inexpensive. You can put these straight in the ground because they are biodegradable, or you can tear them off before you do your planting, whatever suits your fancy. I'm not sure what I'll do yet. We'll just see when it gets to that point. So I'm going to take the bags and slip the bottle inside of them, which then will make it easier to put the bag into one of the slots. And then I'm going to just fill the bag with some of my garden mix. I am using Miracle-Gro. This is not sponsored by Miracle-Gro, but I highly recommend that you use Miracle-Gro. I'll try to find a link for that as well to put in the description box. But I had somebody gift me a bag of non-Miracle-Gro soil once and it was disgusting. Like, I don't know what was in that bag, but it was as gross, if not grosser, than something I could have went and pulled out of the pond behind me. So I'm a firm believer in Miracle-Gro and won't use any other bagged soil products. So, public service announcement, use other potting soils and garden soils at your own risk. So anyway, I'm gonna do this whole process. I don't think you want to watch me individually do that. So I'm gonna do that, and then my seeds, I will just kind of sprinkle recommended amounts on top of each of those, and I will keep track of what is where. Not that I really care all that much. Like, I have several varieties of tomatoes, and the seedlings will all look very similar, but I honestly don't care. To some people that might be important, to me it's not. I will keep track just because my OCD self likes to know, but do that at your own discretion. But I'm gonna do that whole process, and then I will check back with you on some of my tips for what happens next. Alright y'all, so this video is going to be a little bit out of sequence, and I apologize, but the wind is really picking up and I think it's going to storm, so I need to finish the parts that need to be done outside so that I can then set up inside and finish the rest of it. So I apologize for being but I'm trying to work with Mother Nature here, and she is got a mind of her own and I can't control her. So anyway, my house has lots and lots of trees, as you can see. So I don't get a ton of natural light. So I also have these feathered friends. There's two of them. This one is Reba Cluckentire, and oh, that's Reba back there. That one's Reba Cluckentire, and this one's Nettles. And these two lovely ladies had a heat lamp all winter that they are not going to be using, and it is in here now that the temperatures have picked up. So there's a heat lamp there and a heat lamp there. Ooh, and some eggs here. So I am going to steal at least one, maybe both, of their heat lamps to use for my plants inside to give them light, since they probably won't get enough from these trees. Okay, I'm going to stop the video now and I will set up inside and finish. Okay, so this video has not gone quite as I planned. But I do, as a whole, feel that it is more important in life to be able to adapt to changes than it is to be able to follow a prescriptive plan. So in that regard, I'm winning it today. Yay me! But in regards to the information that you guys need, I had seed packets that were to be planted 4, 6, and 8 weeks prior to being transplanted into my garden. I am failing in that regard because I'm about 5 to 6-ish weeks out. So I went ahead and just planted all of my seeds. You saw in the video that I had originally planned to do a portion of the seeds in the bigger bags and a portion in the smaller bags, when I got started, the small bags just weren't working the way I wanted them to. It was taking too much time to fill them because the hand shovel was too big, and then I tried doing it by hand and that didn't have any more success. So I switched and did everything in the larger bags. So those 200-ish bags that I got from Amazon, some of them may never ever get used, but that's just, it's fine in my world because they were so cost effective anyway. Even if only the larger ones get used, it still worked with my budget and saved me money over buying seedlings already done. So I filled the bags with dirt, and then I put the seeds in, and then I lightly covered them. You want them covered, not smothered. So you want enough dirt that they feel safe and warm in the ground, but that not so much that when they start to grow, they can't break through and know which direction they're supposed to be going. So keep that in mind. Then I watered them. They're still sitting outside, so I wanted them to drain properly before I brought them in. When I bring them in, I'm going to set them on a rubber mat that my dog's feeding bowls used to sit on, but I got something else for my dog. So I will use that rubber mat that I already have to put on that, so that way, because that crate doesn't have the bottom, so they will drain. Dirt falls through. I just don't want to deal with the mess on my hardwoods or some other surface in my house. So that's why I'm doing that. It's probably just an OCD thing. But I also, you saw that I'm going to use heat lamps to give them enough light. The process changes. So like in the beginning, I'm really super nurturing with them. They'll get a lot of water, the heat lamps for light and heat, and watering often because those heat lamps will dry out the soil and you don't want that. So I will do all of that in the beginning, and as it gets closer to time that I want to transplant them, I will water less frequently. I will start putting them outdoors more often to acclimate them to wind and environmental factors before they go into the garden. So that's how I take care of my seeds and seedlings. Like I said, this is the first year I've actually planted from seeds, but I've had a garden literally my whole life. My mama gardens and my granddaddy gardens, and my mama helps my granddaddy, so I have grown up around it. I don't consider myself an expert, but I know a lot just because I learned as I was growing. Like, it just was something that was knowledge that was always accessible to me. Like I said, I'm going to link that planting guide from Old Farmers or Regular Farmers, whoever, the Farmer's Almanac. I'm going to link that so you can put in your zip code to give you some guidelines. But if you all have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I'm more than happy to share what I do know. I will also in the description box link my blog, because on there I will do a post coordinated to this, and it will have, I'll go into it and update it regularly as the seedlings are growing and developing and shooting through the soil and things like that. So if you want to check back on the progress, you will need to check at the blog. So I will link that below. And I'll put any other pertinent information that I may have forgotten to mention, or anything like links to help you. That'll all be in the description box, so make sure to read through there. Now, I also did bring 2 containers and planted in them as well. So give me just a second and I'll be right back with those to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, these containers were ones that I already had in my house, and I don't know if you can see the bottom there. I made holes. I literally just took a nail and hammer and put holes for drainage. Now, I had already done this. I had plants in here previously, but I did something else with those. So I'm repurposing these containers, and I planted lavender in one and mint in the other. And I will insert a picture into the video that shows where these hang in my house. They actually hang on a curtain rod that is mounted below my window. And it's in my eat-in kitchen area of my kitchen. So by the mint especially, I'll use it in like infused waters and cooking purposes. So it's nice to have that in the kitchen. But I will transplant it as the weather gets nicer outside because it will grow better outside. But just to have something in these planters, I went ahead and put those two seedlings in these versus in the crate. So that was what was going on with these in the video. And if you guys have any other questions, just let me know. Oh, I did say at the beginning that I don't mark mine to say what is where, and that's true, I don't. And I had 3 varieties of tomatoes and different things. But because I've grown up around a garden, most of these plants look distinctly different from one another. So a tomato plant looks distinctly different than a pepper plant. And so as they start to come up, I will know which ones are which. Now I may not know which tomato variety is which, but beyond that I will know which plant is which. So if you aren't as familiar with gardening, then I take back what I said about use your own discretion. You probably want to definitely mark what is what. Also, when I was planting my seeds, and this is probably just a me thing, but some of the flavors are really intense. Like I have jalapeno peppers and hot salsa peppers because I will can my own salsa. So again, make sure you subscribe to the channel because that'll probably be a post. But all of those were kind of clustered together on one side of the crate, and then it went from like hot to sweetest. So like my watermelon was on this side. So, and then kind of the buffers in between. It's not like they're going to cross-pollinate or affect one another, but I don't know. For me, maybe it just helps with memory, or maybe again, it's my OCD coming out. And guys, I keep saying I'm OCD. I have no official diagnosis of that. I just really like things to be a certain way and have certain homes, and so I do have some of those tendencies, but I try not to let it interfere with my regular life. Although sometimes my friends like to mess with me. Like they will come over and move things and then see how long it takes me to notice because they know that I like things to be a certain way. But anyway, that's just a total side note about me. Back to gardening. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and you can see updates over at my blog, and any pertinent links will be listed below. And make sure you subscribe so you're in the know as this progresses, like salsa recipes in the future. Thanks, y'all. See you later.